This is Physics 275 lab. Title of today's lab is Wave Motion and Resonance. In addition to this video, there will be a lab guide PDF that will be in the description. For today's lab, we're going to be finding the linear mass density of this string two different ways. First, we'll find it traditionally by measuring the length and the mass. And second, we'll find it through wave resonance and a calculated value. For the first step, we'll be finding the linear mass density the traditional way. Take our piece of string, measure the length on a meter stick, and then we'll go over to our scale and get the mass. After we find the linear mass density the traditional way, we'll set up our string on an apparatus like this with a frequency generator, our mechanical vibrator, a pulley, and a hanger that we can add mass to in order to change the tension on the string. Now we'll put our frequency generator to a set frequency and continue to add mass until n equals 1 appears.
You can tell them how much weight you added.
For this first value of n equals 1, I had to add upwards of 1 kilogram to our hanger. So you can see we have a node here and a node here. This is going to be half of a wavelength. After n equals 1 is found, we'll record the tension, the wavelength, and the velocity of the wave on the string. For the next step, we'll remove mass until n equals 2 appears, and then record the same tension, wavelength, and velocity of the wave. Now for n equals 2, I ended up removing almost a full kilogram in order to get this full wavelength on my string. After n equals 2, we'll move on to n equals 3 and 4, also continuing to record our tension, wavelength, and velocity of the wave. For the next step, we'll be graphing tension as a function of velocity squared. After we graph tension as a function of velocity squared, then we can find the linear mass density through the slope of the graph. Once we find our second linear mass density, then we can find the margin of error around it and compare it to our first linear mass density that we found the traditional way.